Good morning, everybody. We're very glad to see you here in this meeting room. And today we are going to talk about coordination of humanitarian response in Mykolaiv region. And I see the familiar faces here. Some of you had an opportunity to take part in our discussion yesterday when we were discussing Kherson region. So, if you see some regional peculiarities, some specific features that different between Mykolaiv and Kherson region, and we shall pay our attention to it. We will be very thankful if you share your ideas during our discussions. I am Irina Chaika, and I am Director of Organization Development of the Legal Development Network. And our network, together with Czech humanitarian organization People in Need, with the support of the British government, implemented the project for coordination of humanitarian response efforts. And we have been doing it for 4 months. And I will be a moderator of today's meeting, and I will be very thankful if during our question and answers questions, we will be very active, we'll share our opinions, some comments, because we have a very ambitious plan to continue to work with the communities of Mykolaiv region, and we would like to get the feedback and we also it will be very useful for us in the context of our future cooperation. So before we start the discussion of the results of our work that we have achieved for 4 months, first of all, I would like to give the floor to the Executive Director of the Legal Development Network, Ms. Olga Nastina. Thank you, Irina. And good morning, good afternoon, dear participants who are online with us and who decided to devote this Saturday morning to this very important meeting. Legal Development Network has been um, a large organization of Ukrainian legal organizations since 2009, and we have 22 members and about 40 partners in our organization. And we started our work with human rights protection and with legal empowerment. But for these years of the Great War for us, the development of the communities is one of the area our network works in, really allow us to demonstrate the results that will be presented by my colleagues. And our work in Mykolaiv region communities really allowed us to achieve very interesting results, and we will present you these results. And through the local authorities bodies, through the representatives of the state government, through the civil organization, our partnership organization, through the people who live and work in these communities, we were able, as we believe, to start the wide systemic dialogue at all the levels, starting from the international partnership, national partnership, and local partnership. And we have this dialogue in very important areas, and we think it will allow us to bring the victory. First of all, this is coordination of humanitarian response. And secondly, this is development and recovery of the communities through the development of the strategies. And I am very thankful to all the inhabitants to Mykolaiv region because you became a huge humanitarian hub, a hub for people from Kherson region who suffered. And probably like these two regions, they join together in the context of the current challenges. And I am very thankful. And I'm a person who has a husband who right now is in the Ukrainian army. And I would like to give the floor to Maxim Bakai. He's from our nearest partnership organization, Czech organization, People in Need. And uh, good day. I am a senior specialist of the organization People in Need. And you already heard what we have been developing right now in Kherson and Mykolaiv region. It's very important for us because we still have some issues with coordination. And as we can see, our partners develop such a great program. It will not only coordinate us and develop us, but will allow us to become better. So thank you very much for your participation. We would like to wish you inspiration and good mood, and not only to create this platform, but to use it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Olga. Thank you, Maxima. And so we right now will meet people who worked in field and who really implemented our ideas and our plans to the real life. And we will see the systemic products that we were able to develop. We had a certain team of people working in Mykolaiv region, and these people, they visited communities in Mykolaiv region, and we will present more information about it, about such visits. And in the very beginning, I would like you to meet a person who organized the work here and who saw how the company, these teams were functioning and who provided the coordination of these teams. This is Mr. Vadim Zhapala, our regional coordinator in Mykolaiv regions. So, Vadim, how was it to work in this region for all this time? Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm very glad to see you here. Yeah, I will use mic just for our online participants to be able to hear me. So when we started thinking about this project in Mykolaiv region, the civil organization, when I am the deputy of the director, we had a lot of practical experience as for providing humanitarian aid to people. And we also worked with our local authorities and with international partners as for forming such needs. Uh, when I was at the military forces of Ukraine, so we were able to distribute about 600 tons of humanitarian aid to the settlements. And then we understood that mm, there is kind of disconnection, a gap between the real needs and the organization that our international partners have. And it also happened that the different humanitarian foundations, they could offer it aid to the same settlements. And we really had the situation when some settlements didn't have any aid, and some other settlements really they had kind of more than they need, more with goods and humanitarian aid. And so when our partners, Legal Development Network, they proposed us to create this coordination program to help to understand how we can detect and close the needs. Of course, we joined it. And we have office, and our office is in Mykolaiv. This is Admiral Makarova Street, 42. And this is our office, and we have our girls there. And our girls, they visited the settlements, and Ms. Tatiana Timoshina, this is coordinator of our office. And she did a lot. And Ms. Daria Linnik, Violeta Rolik, and Natalia Chestakova. These are our girls from the office. They worked in the office, they filled in the database, they had communication with local authorities, and they have a lot of visits to the settlements. And it was not they visited the heads of the settlement authorities. No, it's they really visited settlements and they talked to people there. And they talk to people in the stores, in the drugstores, in some community centers. And really, it helped us to verify the problems. It helped us to hear from people when they need more. And besides this, the support of Legal Development Network and with the support of People in Need organization, so we were able to obtain the computers and just provide the logistics like transportation. And we worked with our providers of humanitarian aid in the city of Mykolaiv. We conducted more than 10 meetings. So because we were able to spread this information about the project implementation from all our stakeholders. And I think that we will discuss in more details all these things. Thank you, Vadim. And Vadim mentioned one word that we will hear a lot today. This is one of our foundational words in the mechanism that we will provide to you. This is verification. I will ask you uh, to pay attention to verification. What verification is and what is the reason of verification and why we use verification when we talk about um, defining and meeting the needs. When we are talking about humanitarian aid, and we can look right now at the coordination mechanism that we were able to develop. And we can present you this product. This is IT solution. It allows to join the provider of the humanitarian aid and these people who request humanitarian aid. And I would like to give the floor to Timur Kanatayev and Alexey Tertechny, and they will present this IT solution that they were able really to develop due to these visits to the settlements. So the girls from the office, so they went to the settlements really had very good reactions, and we were able to create this. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. And we talk a lot about verification. So what do we mean by the verified need? That is defined, but this need is not closed by any of the humanitarian and provider. And we understand that after we define the problem, we need certain time just to check it. And we are talking about the project and about our activities. So right now it's January. So we continue to collect and verify the needs that we have. And our task is like both humanitarian visits and communication of our office in the city of Mykolaiv. We continue to do it. And in our plan, we continue to do that because we understand that we still need. And networking events and development of the strategy. So we are not trying to cut edges, but we try to do everything that we can do so for each settlements and the communities to be empowered, to become stronger, and just to be able to solve these issues independently and to do everything that is necessary to change the situation in that region and in this area. And it depends on us. And about mechanism, this is IT platform, and our task is to improve, to develop, to promote. You can use different terminology, but we are not, we don't want to say that somebody is doing it wrong. We know that each organization, each of us has a certain vision, approach, how to do it. We understand that sometimes we don't have enough resources for coordination, the resource for visiting the settlements, resource for verification and link. This is the mechanism that will help us with that. And here we are talking about platform. This is when we join human efforts, we want to be on the same page and we want to understand what is going on right now in the community. And we understand that each community has their own problems, their own needs, and we really want to have empathy for them and to provide them with the things that they need right now. And this mechanism is very useful because when we develop the solutions and the tools, we are ready to share them with everybody. We are open again to make our tasks, our tools available for the providers of the humanitarian aid and for the requesters of humanitarian aid. And we would like to be this like speaker that will distribute this information and will help. And Alexei will provide you more statistics, details, the numbers, and will tell more information about what's going on. It's not just numbers, but there are a lot of certain solutions, communication, and all the information is gathered not within one day and by one phone call, but we visit the communities. And our plan, our ambitious plan is to cover all these communities. And we understand that these are deoccupied communities, and we want to have this mechanism then to be provided in such communities and settlements that will be deoccupied in the nearest future. And we understand the scope of work that we have been performing. We understand that this data shall be kept maintained updated, and just to see if this need is still not closed, if this need shall be maybe clarified, and just understand if this need is still up to date. And we see just when we visit the community, we ask what they need, and they told us what they need, but then we understand that somebody asked them about it 2 months ago, and right now it's not actual anymore, because this need was supposed to be closed just on time. And we want to trace the situation really in a real-time mode. Um, Good afternoon. I would like to present you the main statistics indicators that we collected during the project. We collected about 700 needs from 127 settlements. So we were able to cover only 35% of all these settlements. And we verify 70 of them. And we try to increase right now the number of verified problems, verified needs. In Mykolaiv region, we covered 57% of the settlements of the occupied territories. The total number of needs 440, 88% of the needs is verified, and the rest of the needs is under verification, and we will verify it very soon. And also one of the direction of our work is verification of civil organization, NGOs, that are ready to provide this help, and we verified 77 organizations, and this is a changing number because some organizations have their projects over, then we have new organization, and our task is to maintain this data update, just to be able and to provide information about these needs. If we look at Mykolaiv region, we can see that in Mykolaiv region there are 46 organizations and 36 organizations working in Mykolaiv and Kherson region. We had direct communication with 23% of the organization, and due to these communications, we were able to close 10 needs in both regions, and we were able to provide the help to the settlements that really needed it. And in Mykolaiv region, so we have 46 and 36. So we have 42 NGOs that provide the aid. We had communication with 35 of them, and we were able to cover the needs, some needs. And here's the statistic information about the number of settlements and the most requested needs. Out of 88 settlements of Mykolaiv region, 47 settlements, they need hygiene and they need foods. When they need material for house roof, they need pampers, like diapers, and they need windows. And we will provide you with information by the settlements. So the needs can be different depending on the inhabitants of the settlements and other factors. And one more thing. Here's we see that 10 needs Here's 10 needs with just number 10. Here's we have a large number a large number of volumes. We have this information. We collect this information, we verify it, we understand what we need in our each step. When we close one of this need and we understand how we were able to do it, this is a real key and a real confirmation that our mechanism is workable and we can do it. And we are ready to use our tools, and we are ready to verify, to find this needs, and to emphasize these needs that shall be closed. And we also mention the collecting of the needs and the activity of our mechanism. Our mechanism also includes legal aid and psychological support. As legal development work, we have the network of organizations that provide legal services and legal aid since 2009. And it would be wrong not to use these tools here. So that's why for our membership organization, we emphasized that there will be online chat, and we want to spread information about this in Mykolaiv region. And here's you can see the most common needs for December and January.
The most interesting part for me is, well, maybe it's different for others, but technical solutions are kind of my thing about this website, and it's really necessary, and it really is very helpful. Because the tools and IT solutions that we're introducing are comprehensive. And at this time, we have included the CRM system into it, call center, dashboard, and an interactive map. The CRM system includes the possibility and access to information that we're collecting, verifying, and we're communicating through it. And this communication and our approach at the first stage is the actual work of our team, so that, first of all, we had the synergy within our team. The next step is sharing this information and providing access to our partners and providers so that they could familiarize themselves in more detail with the information that is added and verified by us directly. And the automation is based on the fact that, on the understanding that every communication with our partners is time, is attention, and understanding how it all works. But when we are approaching other steps, when we create the system, when we add our partners' offices, we can then book the needs. And we can close the needs without additional communication. And that's another step. That's the next step. For getting together the partners that are providing humanitarian assistance. So we are booking this, we are closing this, and everybody who's using the CRM system then has the chance to see what has happened without spending any additional time on additional communication and trying to understand whether or not the need of the community has been closed. Because a resource may be over, and we need to be able to use it effectively. And the possibility of this tool to optimize And these processes within us and within Mykolaiv region is essential to be sure that we are useful for each other. The booking system, where you can book a resource, where you're including the date, the information, what exactly is there, what are the needs, so you can open it up and look at the scope of the need. This is a kind of information that we are not limiting in the sense that it's not that only can only see this here. We're expanding it to a broader circle. We understand the matter of confidentiality. And not all of the information is available on dashboard. We have colleagues with whom you can contact, but there's also a map built to make sure we can better see an unverified need without identification in the CRM system. We can follow the map and understand what populated areas are there and what are the needs. What is the scope of needs that we have covered, verified, and possibly closed. And every layer on the map will enable us a better understanding, to get a better understanding of what's happening. And we are calling upon you, and we wish our communication to become closer so that we could pay more attention to this. We don't communicate enough, and there's a need to communicate more. But we understand that there are time constraints. There are lots of other tasks that also require our attention. And the tools that the CRM system and the map gives us a chance to understand and optimize. It gives us a chance to optimize the timing, where we can follow the link, make some conclusions, and understand our abilities. The dashboard is used to understand when we see big figures in the CRM system and we need to structure our understanding of what's actually going on. It's the same statistics. We have Alexei, therefore we don't need a dashboard. We all need a dashboard for sure, because our Alexei also has limited time and we can't always involve him. That is why we included a dashboard into our system, into our map, which is yet another tool that enables us to move forward and set certain tasks for ourselves to see which communities we want to focus on. Where do we want to go? To look at the needs and stats that we're going to need. Throughout this time, I've been trying to call upon everyone. This is a need. It's possible to scan this QR code and get access to the database of verified needs. And I would like to call upon everyone, if you have a chance, if you have the need, or if you're willing to do so, if you have the understanding of how we're working within this tool already, please join our link platform and use it directly for the benefit of all of us. Thank you. Thank you, Timur. I can see that people are starting to follow the link. Let's give you a second or half a second. You're looking it up to be able to see specific questions in line with what you see on the platform directly. I'll be asking you to ask questions about the mechanism, how it works, how to join it, how to receive information out of it, how to cooperate within IT solution itself or outside it. So if you have any questions, you're very welcome. Hello, thank you for your presentation. I was curious to hear it, and I'm sure I will hear more about it. You mentioned multiple times that information has to be accessible and it has to be fresh, updated. How often do you check this information? You mentioned that there are colleagues who are visiting locations to verify some data from time to time. You also mentioned that you have additional contacts and communication. Is there any regularity to it? Any sort of time periodicity for that? I know there's not much time, but we want to say a lot. First of all, we wanted to say how we started our activity. Step one, we went to the regional level and we understood that there is some coordination at the regional level. They are collecting needs and there's no need to overlap with that information. Our initial discussions about building our initial discussion is about building communication at the regional level, then we go to district level, and then we visit every community to make sure we talk with every target community. But we're always talking about settlements themselves, populated areas. This collection of information is a phase to understand what we're closing and to understand what it is we're doing there. These are verified needs. And next step, I can confidently say that all towns we're talking about, or communities or villages, we've definitely visited them. And our task is to build trust-based relations with representatives of the populated area. And our every communication constantly stands on the relevant level. And we know this requires a lot of resources. When we ask about this in the beginning of the month, at the end of the month, we're doing this continuously because the activity of Mykolaiv office is based on that exactly. Our key task is to stay online, to stay in touch, to communicate by phone. And our key message is to make sure that we can deliver this information to the community. If somebody has closed this need, please call us and inform us, let us know. We have lots of such examples, and every time we're trying to clarify this with the community that you have a chance to coordinate your needs. Not when an organization comes to you and says, we only have this and we cannot provide anything else. But please learn to understand what it is you need and then deliver this message to the organization that will come to visit you, because experience shows that, for example, we come to a village and we can see there's a tractor there. Who provided it to you? Oh, we don't know. Somebody came. It's really cool. We have a tractor now. So the community itself understands directly that there's a need. The need is closed, but when we start digging, we understand that they don't care, or they do not even collect this information for themselves about how this works. And I can see that we are developing the communities that way. And when we build this trust bridge, the relevance of those needs, I forgot to mention the call center that we're establishing. And this is exactly the idea of staying in touch, to keep communicating online or offline. And we're all interested and we are taking the call and we are visiting them directly on site. Thank you, Timur. We also will have presentation about how the teams were working in the field. We have time for questions. There was a question about relevance, about how it is supported. Hello, Natalia Varlan, Peace Force, and Joe. You mentioned in the beginning that this platform will show verified needs. You mentioned the verification mechanism. You also mentioned that unclosed needs will be visible. How exactly are you monitoring the closed and unclosed needs? Covered and uncovered. Thank you for your question. Why we're talking about this? We get a lot of questions why this tool is necessary now. Why in January when we started working in October? Our task was analyzing existing tools, understanding the existing practices, and launching the process. Collection, verification, or closure of the needs is based, first of all, on communication with our partners. I'll give you an example. When we came to the community, we collected the needs, we verified it from other sources, we understood nobody is closing it. Our next step is to find the provider who can close it. It's not that we don't trust providers or the communities that are providing the information about the needs. And after we have received some bookings that the provider says that, oh, we will close that, we still call the community back. And we talk to the people with whom we spoke before. Did you receive everything you needed? And we always said, figure out which organization it is. Maybe you can keep working with them more. And we will be pleased as, not just Svetlana coming, but when people know which organization she represents. So when we ask the communities and their activists, first of all, they're ready to ask, they know what to ask. Secondly, we also always prepare them for the fact that we will contact them at a later stage. We get feedback from partners that the need is closed, and then we double check this with the community. And then when we take a monitoring visit, we can see the satisfaction of the needs. We can see for ourselves that the need has been closed. Any other questions at this point? Hello, I'm Vitalia Khrimenko. I'm Strategic Development Director of LDN. I would like to transfer some of the questions from yesterday's discussion. We had the same discussion in depth into those questions, and there are multiple layers to this. I would like to set some emphasis to answer questions whether or not we are enhancing the mechanisms of coordination of clusters. How do we verify? Why do you need another coordination mechanism? Why are you so sure it helps with coordination and doesn't damage coordination instead? And what is this task about? When we are saying, you can see the charts with slides, you can see unnoticed needs. None of the humanitarian players have taken on those needs on board. We're not searching for actual existing needs. We are searching for needs that are real and that are not covered by anyone. When we talk about community, we mean not just an official or an activist. In a populated area, in a community, there is an actual need, which is a real and which is not taken on board by anyone. You can see the needs that are unnoticed by anyone else. And we start the conversation by explaining at the level of the region, at the level of the district. Then we come to the alderman, We talk through this with all eldermen, and we reach the person who has the list and with to whom you are later coming with distribution. This person is constantly in touch with 5 persons from our office because the specific person is in charge of a specific community and live regular communication is ongoing. They said, well, asked yesterday, what is the date of your report as of yesterday? Because the updates are happening on a regular basis. There's a call, and they're saying, "Oh, it's coming. Well, it's getting closed." Or somebody called back from those who said, "We'll close the needs," and but it's missing out of our database because we're only interested in things that are unnoticed by others. Why is it so important? Because when we're explaining this mechanism, the community asks us, "Oh, another ones came to collect something. Why do we need that?" So we're explaining this. We're explaining this specifically, and we said that we are covering those needs. That means collection, verification, and management. So subject-based cooperation with you as providers. So when it's not you running after them and they don't know how to work with you, but when partnership and interaction happens, when there's actual requirement for those things that they actually need and not what's available in your warehouses. We're trying to help the communities who dare to manage their own humanitarian needs as the first bridge of renewal, strategic improvement of humanitarian situation. And this is the bridge into the second part. It's very important to start this. And that is why what you've seen is part of our strategy and enhancement of humanitarian needs. And this is where we need to update this philosophy. Why communities need this? Very easy. With us, you have a chance to receive what you actually need and not what's available. Um, Secondly, find those who can provide exactly what you need in the shortest possible time. Now, when we have this regular communication with a specific community, and the community for us is a list of specific populated areas of the community, and all information suppliers, because we always need two information sources, the administration and activists, priests, everyone else. After my interlude, Tana will explain more how this happens to make sure we add some specifics to the discussion, but you have to understand the system. Basically, we are establishing partnerships and we're strengthening the communities. We're building their capacity so that they could get what they need faster. And this is all collected on the daily basis. That means that there are regular calls, that site visits are necessary. Every community we've covered started with a visit so that we could have enough informers who are not subordinated to the local power. These are those volunteers whom no one can catch because they've brought something along another street. They are in touch, they're staying in touch, and we have a strategy of their inclusion into this coordination system because this mechanism will never be compulsory. It's just that it's easier to be with this mechanism than without it. If we're speaking about an IT system and why you're only seeing this now, you've seen this QR code yesterday and now today, because we have collected the first 500 needs a month ago. Then we thought, okay, how do we transfer them? Will we help coordination? No, it will deteriorate communication because who will then know who is closing what need? We needed this time and mechanism to collect the needs in a way that people could see that one of the needs has been already covered. IT solutions is not the key product of what we're doing. The key product are people and relations that we've established with the communities with whom we are beginning to develop those relations. And the product helps us call upon the humanitarian players, use this mechanism to identify the unnoticed things, to understand where the remains are left, the leftovers, and when you're registered along that link, you can receive additional information and verify it. In the part of IT solution, we have a well-established office, virtual office, convenient client office. In the future, we want to develop the community office so that they could see their situation. One provider came to us yesterday and said, well, when we're closing the need, we need a form of closure. Could you make sure, and we have a specific template for that for every donor, and can you make sure that the community gets that letter, that template? We will never collect the lists because this is the responsibility of the community submitting it. We're just checking the list, verifying it, and if it's becoming available in the generalized form, like one of those lines, 10 lines, it could be, similar needs for one specific place because there's a person with a specific list who is waiting and is ready to prove that the list is real. And this actual work is being done by you guys as providers of humanitarian aid. Somebody is calling somebody and just takes this list for granted as long as it was officially signed. Somebody is sending their mission. Somebody is sharing information. It varies. We do not use this information for the distribution of humanitarian aid because since we are a producer in this system, a provider in this system, we are equally distanced from all of you, from humanitarian organizations, from donors. We do not hand out anything ourselves to make sure we don't have any conflict of interest. As legal development network, we do not distribute any natural aid. Whatever we see unnoticed is in the system, is put into the system, and you can all use it. Those who use it will definitely cut their operational costs in the part of verification. As soon as the community sees that there are actual calls to close the needs, which are not abstract, but about actual practical details, and when people start calling you directly about that, and this eliminates the bottleneck. Oh, you have to send all queries from us. We don't care whether it goes through us. The less goes through us, the more site visits we can do to verify other needs. But when the communities understand that different ones are calling, they are calling back our office managers to make sure that they can clarify everything and everything goes to our employees. And Tatiana, perhaps you could show the examples of how this all works, and then maybe we will fix that conundrum. This is exactly like the barrels where you need wells to get some water. This is the case where we provide convenient grassroots level tool about community capacity building. This is what the tool is about. This is what the QR code is about. And when the first 15 registrations come in, we will be able to collect those first providers and we will test it on you. whether or not it is easy for you to work with this solution. Obviously, this is a handmade solution, but we can customize a convenient office for you. It's not um, it is not overlapping with CIDAR because CIDAR has some gaps and it can indicate, but at the same time, it can indicate where to go and where to look for needs. So any new tool that is used for case management of humanitarian aid can clearly synchronize with our information. We will not go into the so-called lists because that's where overlapping starts. Our story is to make sure we can develop the community and that we can help them manage their needs, improve their communication, provide convenient tool for any player for better coordination, to see what the others are not noticing, closing what the others are not seeing, and they're not seeing what they do not dare to notice. Because the list they are giving now is what are your needs and what do you have? What do you have? That means, warehousing starts. What we are posting as a need is what is necessary, but um, which did not go into the official statistics anywhere. Because, for example, there was a query and then they said, oh, we don't have it, and then it got lost. When the new need comes in, we're using it to expand the catalog. We have 3 levels of the catalog, and when you delve into the second level, the new needs are basically newly established needs. This is a tool helping us look into the future. The monitoring of regular situation, the analysis, and this analysis gives a lot. And we are planning to develop this dashboard to meet the needs of the community. This is our first target audience and providers who are working with us and using this tool to improve their activity. This is what this ideology is about. Maybe at this stage, you can get additional questions because well, I built my monologue based on the questions we've heard yesterday. Maybe at this stage, new things will come up, and this will help. We did 2 events for a reason to start a dialogue yesterday and to continue today. Do you have any questions or not?
Anna Borisova, SSS. I have 2 questions. Uh, so the question is, how do you know that this need is not covered or this need is not defined? How do you know it? How do you define it? Uh, so for me, it's very important and interesting to know how do you know that this meat is not closed, not covered, not noticed? How do you define this? If the community just tells about this need, this problem to everybody, so how does it work? This is a very good question. Thank you. Look, when this is our 10th time we go up to town on this chain and we explain to this person who makes this list. And this stage is starting from the head of the community and that goes to this person who collect the needs. We ask about the needs that are not taken or not closed by anybody. Just the community knows about it, and they asked, "Can we send this problem to everybody?" Yeah, you can send it. You can communicate about this need. So, but it's very important to have cooperation and trust. So we talk to them, and for these 4 months of work allowed us just to visit some, not a lot, but many communities. And we really wanted to have this connection. And we do have this connection, and we have very clear understanding that we have been informed about the needs. And there are some precedents when, for example, they say, okay, this organization came to visit us. Just they ask us some questions, and it looks like we told them about our needs. And but we don't know if they are able to close this need or not. Yeah, some needs are closed, some needs stay unclosed. So there were the precedents when there was no communication or just high quality communication. We, we, we have these issues sometimes. And it's also very important results for us as well. And it also can enhance the humanitarian aid. So we took all routine upon ourselves. So the communication, the solving of these problems, really is very important, and we want to enlarge this office. And this is one of focus of our work to look for unnoticed, uncovered needs. And if this need is known, and there are some gaps in communication, just to tell about it. And I would like it to Italy. One of our tasks, so when we go to the settlements, and we are going there ready. So we communicated with our partners. We have already asked them about what's going on. And when we come to the settlements, to the communities, they started to tell us about something, and we tell them, okay, we know about it because we have discussed it, this uh, and really, so it means yeah, because we have different categories here. For me, unknown or unnoticed need, this is the need that maybe the community doesn't know about. And for you, unknown or unnoticed need, this is the need that the community knows about it, but it's not covered, it's not closed. When we are talking about unknown or unnoticed needs, sometimes when we come, we started to develop trust with the community, with the representatives, and we see it in wider understanding. So, and when we have this communication bridge with the community and we trust each other, And when we discuss it with the community, we see that there are sometimes situations when the community does not understand the needs. So they shall manage their needs. Maybe it's better not to bring you water, but maybe better just to drill the well, especially like water wells, just to provide the water for your community, just to like this water pipeline. The community shall think about the future, and when we're talking about unnoticed need, it's a little bit wider. So you help the communities, but we very carefully with the help. I don't know how you call it. Uh, we we call we ask them the communities what do they need, and they can give you the whole list of the needs, just everything. And we call it just kind of unprecedented giving out volumes of very huge volumes of giving out. But first of all, we have to understand what they're talking about. So they say, okay, we need this. We don't need. We need everything, and we started the dialogue. Okay, just show us not the general needs that you have, just the needs that will be covered in months or 2 months. Just show us your real need, but those needs that are not covered by other players. And then we started to ask questions. Okay, how many children do you have? Like 200 children, but why don't you have any needs related to children? They tell, I ask them, but we never show them the list of the needs. Because if they see this list, again, it can be, again, they can go to the mode of just giving out. Because, for example, we bring food like every Tuesday, and then the shop is closed, and they have no shops, no stores. And right now, our strategy shows the communities, they want to transform humanitarian resource to strategic resources, just to be able to solve the situation, just to recover, to rebuild something, uh, just to do things with soft services and so on. Because right now you're talking more about like complex issue. This is not about like an unknown or unnoticed. Yes, and when you see the truck with some goods that cost like 15, 20 million hryvnia, you can look at this um, as the goods, but or you can look at these trucks of 15 million hryvnias goods as potential humanitarian response. And when the community understands that they have these humanitarian resources and then can use it for the development, this is a different approach. And this is our goal when we are talking the management of humanitarian needs at the level of the community. So here's you mean just the satisfaction of the basic safety and security needs with the help of this humanitarian aid. Yes, we will talk about it later on. Right now, I would like ask Tatiana some example how it happens. So what is the process of communication in the community itself when we have to set communication with the community? Maybe in this case, then some other things may be highlighted. Or there will be new questions and we will have new field for discussion. Timoshina Tatiana, I am head of the office that has been working for 3.5 months for this period of time. Right now we work with our 12 territorial communities And we had more than 100 visits. We visited all the settlements on these communities. Just we can visit the settlements when we're able to get to. So far, we work. We start working with the heads of the territorial communities. When we work with the organizations, with NGOs and civil organizations, they know about the needs of these communities. There was a question about unknown or unnoticed needs. Okay, I will explain you. So we come to the community and ask people, what do you need? And so they uh, not just they show us the lists. Have you given this list to anybody? Yes, we gave it to this, and this organization. And what about them? Right now we haven't had any feedbacks or responses from this organization for 2 or 3 months. We started to call to this organization, like we are people. Sometimes we can forget something. So the organization, they received information about these needs, but then they do not communicate it further, or maybe there are some and there's like certain problems that are not covered. And then we give it to the territorial community, and then territorial community looking for the provider that can work with it. There's leaders and the settlements, they understand they need to cover this need, but they don't understand how to do it. And besides, we collect information about, for example, number of children in the community, a number of disabled people, a number of the houses that have natural gas pipelines or not. And for example, we need 100 furnaces. It's like small furnaces. Okay, how many houses don't have gas heating? 50. Okay, but if you have 50 houses without gas heating, why do you need this 100 furnaces? But people want it, but we will not do it. So the neighbor received this small furnace, and I also want this furnace, but it shall not be like that. And after we collected the needs, we fill in the special table with all the needs, and when we are looking for the organization that know, like local organization that know these needs, they know the settlements, and we discuss with the organization the status of these needs. Maybe these needs are still valid, maybe some needs are closed. Sometimes we can visit the settlements and the villages several times to be able to understand the volumes and the numbers of the needs that shall be covered. And for example, the problems, some like medical wheelchair or some like walking aid. And they told us that they didn't know that they can even voice this problem, for example, like wheelchair. And so that's why our work is to define the problems that were not defined before, and just to get the needs, the problems that were not satisfied fully. And then the representatives of community call us and they tell, thank you very much. Finally, we received these things that we have been waiting for 2 months. Just we really feel that we're very useful, that we really do everything right. And these calls inspire us for new things. And we understand that we are very useful for these people. And we ask you to support us in this area. And there is one more problem, that we have to know uh, the area of activities of the charity organizations. Because we call, for example, to this charity organization and ask, we have this need, but can you help us? No, we don't. We cannot do it because this is not our area of activity. Maybe if we can get information from you, what is your areas of activity? So in this case, we cannot waste the time and just address those needs to your organization that you can really meet. Thank you very much. Your examples provoked questions. This is online question, online participant question, and it will be the last question before the break. But how do you set up priorities of the individual needs for the households? When we are talking about collecting the needs, about the tasks, we don't deep down to the households, to the individual households. And it shall be a skill of such a person who is there. And this person has the lists. And we try to understand the maximum scope. But we do not put emphasis on individual household. But in the same time, we want to have confirmation regarding this list from 2 or 3 sources. And as for priority, if you want to set up priorities, it needs more resources. And we understand that it's really difficult uh, to it. But this is not our task. We want to highlight and to understand the need, the problem, and just to transfer it to the specific provider. And we understand that needs such things that we have this needs today, not tomorrow. And for example, we still have war and we can have shellings and have different needs. And just to be able to conduct this revision and to check the needs. Uh, so we are ready to do it with the head of the settlements ask us about it. If, for example, this evening we have the shellings and they can call us and ask us, can you help us to find this provider that can really cover the need. And so the community has their own commissions that are ready for the response, and they address these questions to us. And this examples that Tanya mentioned about gas heating in the house, there's like 50, like for example, 50 houses not without gas. Then we had some furnaces, and then we go to individual level. For example, like families that couldn't install these furnaces. We had a case when 2 families, like the families with many kids without husbands, without fathers, and 2 women, one with disability and one minor girl, and they didn't have anybody who could help them to install the furnace. So the situation was that the community itself was not capable to help these people. And we do the following thing. In this case, for example, if we need 38 furnaces and plus 2 furnaces that shall be installed. Uh, so we do not look at the priority from the point of view who shall receive this furnace in the first turn. And this is the responsibility of the community, of the settlement of people themselves. So our story that using our reputation through this verification, we understand which need can be included to this system, not to destroy trust with providers and to work with them. And for example, some providers can satisfy a part of these needs. If we need like 40 furnaces, maybe we have providers that can satisfy some of them. It's okay. A part, like if they can satisfy 20 furnaces, provide 20 furnaces, it's good. And so we still have 20 and we will be looking for them. So we don't think that somebody in top priority, somebody is not. So our task is to understand the specific of this request, of this need, and just to cover it. If we can do it completely, great thing. Partially, also good. If we cannot satisfy it, just if we can, we will be continue to look. And we had a case when we was looking for special bed, medical bed with a disabled person with cancer. We didn't have time to do it, so this person passed away. And this is a sad situation, but again, uh, uh, we we are told about this, for example, wheelchairs, about some very narrow needs. And when we ask them and they tell us, and then they told us that we didn't know that we can address this problem to you. So this like individual needs, we respond immediately. But this is a level of individual work. For example, this special medical bed, but the furnaces, it's a different story. But we will not set up the priorities, right? Who shall be satisfied with need first? This is the management of the community. Thank you. And so we finishing our first part of our discussion, and right now there will be a coffee break for 20 minutes, and we will come back here to 11:45. And please shift your focus of attention. If you probably noticed that you have some similar in your work or you have similar priorities, you can talk to each other, and 11:45 we'll start a discussion how we work this community development, and we will talk about support of the communities in recovery and development.
Rebuilding and early reconstruction of communities. So let's reconvene. Our next part is dedicated not to technologies, but to the people. The actual people and the actual things that are happening in the communities and with their development, with their planning of early rebuilding. And I would like to give floor to present the actual algorithm which helps us base our relations with Mykolaiv regional communities. Director for Strategic Development of the Communities, Vitaly Okhrimenko. Thank you. First, a little bit of context. The whole design of our current project had two big components. Component number one is when we started building history at the level of each community with capacity building to close the security request. to give the sense of readiness to move on. And without this component, starting some processes in communities undershooting, like it happened in Kherson region yesterday, and doing some development there, it sounded really utopic. If we speak about Mykolaiv, we were working in Shevchenkivska, Mishkova-Pogorelivska communities, and as we were working with the first component, we already wanted to start thinking, how can we pilot this process? How can we just start the process of resuming the developments and in the occupied communities? How do we even start? For that purpose, we established several hypotheses and tried to pilot them. What do we do if we make the development process as inclusive as possible? And the whole thing of working with strategic document would also be the process of data collection of various thoughts. It would be kind of a melting pot for different visions. If the process is properly structured and properly built, so that we could first upload the ideas, consensus, transformation into certain vision that would be shared by the people who were in this process. That is why that process looked like it did. Because basically we first did some in-depth interviews with opinion leaders, with communities, with the people with whom people were pointing fingers and saying, okay, you'd better talk to them. After that, we had 5 full-fledged strategic sessions, strategy days, when the communities first figured out the first focus areas, the 5 first focus areas. And it brought together a discussion of 15 to 20 persons. And they were always open constantly. And those who were in this process, they would always bring somebody, or they wanted to join the next phases of conversation and negotiation. And very often, when we started with one topic, it would transform into something else at the end of the day. So after 5 days of strategizing, we ended up rethinking, reconsidering those ideas. And with 50, we had up to 50 people participating in those strategizing sessions. And we were reviewing those key priorities, and even more people would do that. And we were looking in depth at what could happen there. And we would identify the opinion leaders, and we would end up in 2-day strategic planning. And we would collect all information from the previous stage. And this was the level of political management as well. And this was the willingness of political leadership to share their vision, to see the vision of different bubbles, and to approximate this consensus around which the community could be harmonized, to give them some energy. And those who were in within this process were actually rethinking this greatly about how the strategizing process could be performed. We will have trainings, and we're having training in Shevchenkivsky community on the strategy implementation. What does that mean? After we've been through all those stages, what did we do? We tried to rethink and reconsider things that were always there, bringing them together into an understandable document. And we did not put ourselves into the framework of classic development strategy and the decentralization process. We would not drive ourselves into the development plans until 2027. We did not drive ourselves into the framework of how it should be. We wanted to build a process that would drive the community towards the consensus so that it was developed in a way that people participating in it could really understand that this is the process of thoughts with clear understanding of the picture and understanding of the view. And we will show how it looks. But there was another innovation. And then strategy, we would show it all to the sociologists, and they said, well, you know what? If we speak about connection between the results of public opinion poll and strategic goals that were developed, very often that connection has a middle level of correlation or is completely absent. People who are entering the strategizing process, if they're not experts, just one expert who looked into this, they do not think in concepts like comprehensive results of a public opinion poll. We're saying, okay, making database decisions. But if we're speaking about an inclusive process, that would be utopic. And the research of all previous strategies has shown that this is a non-implementable tasks. As we were implementing two-day training, we would transform the results into public opinion poll questionnaire. In every community, in Bilozerka, in Mykolaiv, and in Shevchenkova community, we formed two samples. The first sample are the residents who stayed, and the second one is the ones who left. And I'm looking forward to the list of those who left so that we could achieve another thing. These are professions that are necessary to implement the strategic plans, to see whether or not we can make sure that those people were ready to participate in those strategy implementation processes that are required by the community within the framework of implementation of development strategy. But let's go back to the first target audience, local residents. How did we collect the data? We got the sample that covers populated areas of the whole community, not in the center of the community, not in the shop. Then there was a vehicle, a car with a driver, a team leader, interviewer of public opinion poll company, and local trained interviewer to make sure that there's the understanding of the fields, etc., and local context. Everybody was working on an individual basis. Everybody who was telling about their communities, they got a chocolate for 30 minutes of communication. We understood that without the present technology, we could not achieve the good results. Those of you who did not do any public opinion polls may think it's a trick. No, it's a technology where you need to actually get long data somewhere. And we collected 200 answers from households with the respective sample. And I will show you how it went on. You will get that presentation. I've already commented on these slides if you're interested to read them. I will just focus on one thing. How does Shevchenkivska community, Mykolaiv, I cannot say because the strategizing process has only just finished. In Shevchenkova community, this is how strategic areas were shaped through this process. This is how people think and not how we're writing in the strategic documents. Those concepts were brought together in the following way. a sustainable, comfortable, modern community. And what do we do with it? We create conditions for sustainable development of the community. We can create social infrastructure to do that. What do? We establish conditions for the civil society and space for expression of people's thoughts. This thing was coming up all the time. This is about village activism. This is about the possibility to find ideas and implement them. We have our first question is how many local NGOs do we have? And what is their capacity level? And how we do that and what do we do is an ever emerging topic. Key factor of implementation is the loss of human capital and the strategy of its return. A little bit of sociology that will basically help us develop necessary strategic documents that will have an even higher level of inclusion and participation than this process. Because basically, we've tested the opinions of different target audiences from the point of view of emphasis and the way people see this. And there should be this balance between how people see things, how we explain pros and cons to the people, and how we see a respective strategy from the position of the product integrity. Because this strategy needs to be delivered to the people, but the sociology data will definitely help us if we start using them and if we start interpreting them right. The sociologists have not yet cleaned the data. We have not yet analyzed those data arrays. We're just entering the process, and there will be good public opinion poll data presentation on all the 7 samples. I would just like to demonstrate tendencies. Please take those figures as trends. They will change a little bit here and there. Another important point. Data collection via tablets with GPS trackers, with data tracking and voice recording of the process. So we are confident about the quality of this data. We did a real psychology. This is not just some kind of polling, unclear samples, somebody could not. This is something we can vouch for after we've cleaned the data and do all the necessary procedures with statistically calculated standard deviation. We would be able to use this data. 90% of those who stayed, again, this is just the data of Shevchenkovo community, they feel the need to help other community residents to decide and to resolve the common problems together. 62% believe that they can influence things that are happening in the community. So the level of engagement is high. In Belozerka, it's 32%, but they have this super high sense of danger. And this data, among other things, allows us to compare the level of indicators and the senses in different communities. We had trainings on sustainability where we had 35 people from Kherson. We would take them to safe regions of Ukraine and we would take some kind of psychological retreats, sustainability things. And these were wonderful 3 days, and people were very happy for the opportunity to switch gears. But when Kherson residents were talking about this, their feedback about the valuable things, they were saying, oh, hot water for 3 days, the possibility to sleep. And every meal was a festivity because we eat to survive. We can't cook. When Mykolaiv region representatives were saying that 1 year ago we were feeling exactly the same as Kherson residents are feeling now, and when we were listening to what Mykolaiv region was saying, within their feedback, we were saying that Kherson residents will be going through the same thing, and they have a different level of readiness to strategic planning. And that's exactly what this indicator reflects. When people are getting this primary support and a little bit of security, their first response is, we want to get involved and we want to try. This is the potential, and if you use this potential for communication, if you include a large number of unincluded people, if you involve them in the community development, these are indicators that are showing clearly that people are ready. Migration potential. 6% are planning to leave. 20% have family members who are not planning to come back among those who left. And those who have community members who left the community after the 24th, it's 32. These are the people who may be leaving. This is as it is. That's why we did the second sample, to understand those 32% who left. What it is they expect from the strategy. Can their opinion be taken into account in the development of the community? Can it affect them in their willingness to go back in the new community with updated senses, in the area where they want to build their future? We've also asked whether your family's life is affected by community problems, like bad local roads. Does it have significant impact, some impact, soil deterioration, damage of schools and other infrastructure? Homeless animals, by the way, are a problem. In Bilozerka, they're not talking about homeless animals, stray animals, poor internet connection, and again, mobilization measures are a factor. In Bilozerka, this is not a factor. Do such problems affect the life of your family? And it's a very broadly formulated question, significant and strong impact. And that's the profile. Age and gender structure, as we can see, there's physically more women in the community. Which of the next tasks have to be implemented in the community, in your opinion? And we were talking about the end of active fighting, and after the end of active fighting, how does reconstruction of roads affects this? Yes, that is a factor, and we would formulate this not as a list that we came up with, but things that came up during strategizing. This table basically shows people's perception from the standpoint of what they need and what they need first and foremost. But again, this is not something that needs to be put onto the list. This has to be a well understandable approach, and understanding that if the community needs this and the community doesn't realize this, this needs to be talked through. And this is the responsibility of the whole community, because the examples that were shown with some kind of factories and parks, we're building a park, and do you realize that it will not just be you going there, but for example, people from the center of the community would be coming, and it would not be so quiet, but you enjoy the quiet environment. Or a different thing with construction rubbish processing. A community works in Mykolaiv, and it doesn't need it doesn't need jobs so much, and it would not accept such a facility. And another community which cannot travel for 1.5 to 2 hours to Mykolaiv, and they would appreciate some jobs. And when we understand the perception, when we want to understand what we want to do, sociology takes a totally different light. The building requires renovation. And again, we as humanitarian players are getting confirmations from sociology. We had a problem with procurement of construction materials because of physical inaccessibility. And when we analyze, for instance, how this manifests in the center of the community, that's one thing, but how it manifests in the nearby villages, that's another story. And then we can understand the spreading. And then we can think about logistics and roads and other things. And our strategy of medical network, educational network, you will get normal broader data. So I'm not giving the whole thing, but does your household suffer from poor physical access? And this is a category of humanitarian needs very often. We have a chance through sociology to look at the impact of what we're suffering from physically. That means that we cannot buy this or there's no place to buy it or it's physically unavailable in a pharmacy, in a shop, whatnot. This is the frequency of explanations of what was happening, what was necessary, and those clarifications were mentioned most frequently. What field should the community develop first? 73 village communities, and I'm very interested to see how do those who are leaving, who have left, how would they um, assess this? And this is a very big indicator. If we're talking about Mykolaiv region, well, with Bilozerka, this was 4% max.
So I would like to give the floor to Oleg, and if we can provide more practical information, maybe to confirm something that I told. Let's come back to our previous slide. So there are several approaches for strategy development. There are certain prerequisites and preconditions, and what we had in our case. We gathered some specialists and professionals. And for example, the people who work in education area, they understand their issues, but they don't have so wide knowledge or deep understanding of medicine, culture, some economic issues. And then when all these people get together for the strategic session, so the main value was that they started to understand the peculiarities of other areas and other directions. And everything that we've been doing in the very beginning, this is a dream. We can call it a dream, and then we fulfill the dream. If we're dreaming about rebuilding of the destroyed kindergarten, after 1 year we fulfilled our dream, we rebuilt this kindergarten. So this is a strategy how we can transfer from the dream to the real results. And the strategy is about people, inhabitants in this community to understand what the community shall become. Each community has its own mission and vision. I would like to draw your attention to this slide. 73% of people believes that the main component for our future is agriculture. But if these people would look at the income structure of the community, they would be able to understand where the money is. And in our strategy, we make emphasis to this area. But as well, in our strategy, we say that after um, explosion of Kakhovskaya station, so we will lose this farming lands for many years. So right now, the question of growing vegetables, this is the issue of the food safety of the whole country. And we have to refocus our farmers and we have to help them to find themselves here and just to create working like jobs for people. So communication with people, understanding by people the sources of the income in the community and the areas of investments. Because if you ask people what do they want to be rebuilt or recover, they will tell everything. But if you will ask them to put priority, you will hear different things. Some of them will hear like hospital, bridge, kindergarten, school, and it's very important and it's very difficult for people to understand the prioritization and why we do this or that in the first place. This is very important slide for me. Why 62%? This is very significant indicator. In the community, majority of people understand that they have impact on the development of this community, and this is really great. And this is even better. People are ready to be engaged in the recovery processes. There is a certain part of people that they're sitting and waiting for somebody to come and to make uh, good things for them. Okay, I will put a face, put a post on the Facebook how it shall be done, how Ukraine shall be recovered, to be provided with drones, um, defense and offense strategy. But then this mm, people are just sitting and writing these posts. But all significant things are done by those people who are ready to devote their own time and just to make changes in their settlements in their cities. So they come to us and they tell that we are ready to help. And in different location, we have strategic, we have a session as well as strategy of our communities. So Saturday, 8 in the morning, so people get together and they work on it. So they spend their personal time to finalize those processes that we had about something like 2 months. And this is not the first time when they get together on Saturday or Sunday. And it's very important just to have these people that are ready to get together at the weekend and to change the community for better. And me and Andrei, we are very close to each other, and quite often we exchange our thoughts because for us it's very important and we really care about the future of our settlements and villages in 1 year and in 5 years and further on. And we understand that it's really very important to develop this idea, to develop the strategy that will reflect the desires of the people, that will reflect the opinion of the professionals, like, for example, education, social protection, medicine, Veterans Council, internally displaced people council, and it's also very important to provide access for disabled people because we will have more and more disabled people. And we also have problems that the people they need to have protection because when our settlements were being bombed, so the people they were hiding in the shelters that they could find, and you remember how it was. And we have to provide this protection now because our crazy neighbor he will not disappear. Maybe just it will collapse in several parts. And so it's good for donors to see the answers to this question. How do you see your community? Just it would be good to have the documents and then include the vision and the ideas of civil society, of the communities, of the professionals. And we have to support the civil society, we have to promote it, to inspire it, because this is very good driver of the changes and of the movement. And I would like to end here, and I am very thankful. I really appreciate our partners, and I really thankful for them for working this strategy. This is the second time in my life when we work on the strategy for the community development. Uh, First strategy was developed in 2008 with the program Dobre. And at that time, I didn't have such good, deep understanding of the document. And at that time, the strategy for agricultural communities, they were kind of typical with some peculiarities. It was kind of a fast conveyor. Uh, so we've been working on it for 2 months, and it's really really like it. Thank you very much, our partners, and we will do our best to make our communities better. Thank you very much, Leja. And when we have people who really want to be engaged in community development, this is not uh, there is a reason for it because the team attracts these people. And we also have the head of one more community that still is in the process of strategy development. Right now, they don't have some strategy directions and goals formalized, but the process of cooperation with the settlement inhabitants um, is done, and so maybe you can share which trends you have seen and how you can use it for the development of the strategy. And Mr. Andrei Batanian, the head of Mykolaiv community, and can you please share what happened during this process and which trends have you seen during the process of strategy development? And first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here, and we can have intermediate outcomes. And thank you very much for your wisdom, for your endurance, and I'm very, very skeptical when we met the first time, and I don't hide it. Why? Because our community suffered the least, And we met a lot of foundations in 2022. So they were reformed, they finished their projects, and we met these foundations again. And uh, the first meeting with you, we took it as okay, we have donors again. They will ask some information, and then they will go to more sufferant settlement. And we believe that thanks to God, to military armed forces of Ukraine. And so our really community suffered the least, and maybe we could become a hub that help to study the needs, and then we redirect the donors to other communities. But the negative result was that the donors didn't come back to us because they saw that other communities really had greater needs, and they used all the resources for the communities, so they didn't come back to us. So that's why our first meeting was skeptical. And by the second meeting, I changed, and my team changed our opinion, and we even could see a certain strategy. And I stopped kind of I started just to watch the process. I didn't take active part in this, but I allowed our young people and our professionals who worked in our community just to use their opportunities, to use their skills without my participation. So I used this kind of democratic approach, and I think it was the right decision because we had three stages of evolution within 3 months. The first, humanitarian aid and humanitarian needs of our community. We believed that we know needs. We have a Center of Administrative Services that can provide 41 services. And we believed that we know everything, that we know how to do everything, and everything is great in our community. And at the third or fourth meeting, we understood that we can really get benefits from this project and to do good things, to systemize our humanitarian needs and to look how we can meet them. Then to get professionals who will help us to develop strategic plans and will communicate to them. And then opportunity for me is ahead of the community, just to look at these processes and just to watch it. So I had an opportunity to rethink. So we had mixed team going to Carpathium for this event, and we had a group of experienced people over 50 years old and group of young people who made who had some ideas. And it's interesting that older people they want to work more compared to younger people. So it's in informal circumstances, settings, and people really understood what the community needs, what the community wants, and uh, sometimes when the head of the community is there, they could feel certain pressure, but in this situation it's very good because we had very clear understanding on what we are going to do. And I would like to ask you to have this partnership project for a longer time because uh, the key of success, this is our very good cooperative work and development of the strategy, like through these high quality researches. because really we won't be able to do it. Okay, please stay with us. We will provide you the schedules, but uh, we will uh, start in your community next week, and so mm, there will be we will talk to people into your community. We know these people. We form the team, and we have to finalize the results to be able to start the process of implementation with your community. Our story is not just to implement, but just to help you to support and to support the team to work with the team, just to make the team capable to do different things. And we believe and we want that the small communities and medium-sized communities will be able to take part in the recovery process, and they will be able to consolidate these strengths of those people who want to take part in the recovery, those people who survive through the occupation and they do actually miracles and they work with impossible things. And I would like to invite you. Right now, we have kind of official part, and we would like to give it to you, but we have to finalize this process with sociology, and we want to give you the strategy that we describe, and it's actually ready. And you can see this, and you can share why we have this picture. And there are a lot of information. There is a lot of information in the document about the community. This is not the document that we have to approve, but this is the document that will be implemented, and all the participants of the process will want to implement it. This document describes consensus, these things that were presented by many people. And this is document. It will be nice to read, to reread, and to implement. So, and we want to give this document to your community. And also, your people who take part in implementation training will also take the copy of this document, and we want to have synergy with you in 2024. We don't call this even a project, and this is more like a system. And why we want to present it to everybody? Because if you read the strategy, you can find a lot of interesting humanitarian humanitarian projects, and you as humanitarian players, you can really take this information and implement it to the communities. So we want to encourage you to help to implement these things into the communities. It's unexpectedly really hit me, and I will right now I will have a storytelling next to administration housing of our Shevchenkovska community. There are four groups of trees, and if you look at these trees, you can see about 50 owls there. And you can see this owl only when you look at this and when you see the number. So these owls, they're like spies. You don't see them, and so these owls, they were there during the war, and they have nests there all the time, and they also attract people to go there, because people who go to our administrative building to take picture of these owls, they show it to other people, and we decided to develop this as a brand. I gave to Mr. Budanov an owl for his birthday gift. And I also have a special kind of shelf in my office with owls. But from ancient times, owl, this is a symbol of wisdom. And right now, a problem for many communities, and the problem for our country is wisdom. Wisdom in interaction between people and our MPs and administration, because quite often we have some inner fights. We don't have good relationship. Uh, we just voice our opinions for or against, but the issue of wisdom, just to understand that the only people who need our communities, it's us, ourselves, and only when we understand that we have to join efforts and we will be able to do it only if we're working together, it will happen. Until now, it will not bring good results, and the situation will be good only for one country, and we know it. When our internal fights really do not allow to develop and to move forward. So that's why I um, wish everybody like to be wise and to be strong. As for wisdom, in this project, for this 4 months of our cooperation, we were able to join 3 different communities, absolutely different communities. And one community almost destroyed in Olegovo-Belozerskaya. And so that's why these communities will have different statistics. These communities will have different needs. But this project will allow us um, just to see the changes and challenges will be the same, because people want to recover and to rebuild not only their houses but to recover and rebuild the state. So I really hope that it will push us to have municipal cooperation, and when we'll not be afraid of competition, but when we will be the region that can work together, because we still have foundations, we have resources, we can reserves that can really help us with that. Uh, and right now we are developing, first of all, the strategy for the south part of Ukraine development. I'm just listening to you, and just I feel it, because when we started to work with Mykolaiv and Kherson regions, I really wanted to have synergy. Synergy. We wanted to have like two-way interaction, the participation of all the parties, and I'm very thankful to you for it, that you were able to do this. And right now, I would like to present you a certain review. We presented the practical things to you, what can be done and what can be used in the fields, but I would like to show how this process was going on, and what you can see, and what Oleg and Andrei and Igor can see in their communities, in Kherson communities. So this the real situation that we work with in the fields. When they say that Mykolaiv became a shield for Odessa, so Shevchenkovska community became a shield for Mykolaiv. We took upon ourselves the main fight, and in our community we have about 2,700 objects destroyed. And as of today, we were able uh, to recover and we also work on with the recovery, and we also want to work in media promotion. And we wanted to coordinate the main players and the foundations that provide in the communities. And they have researchers regarding the needs of the population, and they confirm this need. And we understand that nowadays period is very difficult, but we're thinking about the future, how we can bring um, our people back to the communities, to Belozerka. And right now we developed the strategy for 2027, 2024.
It has representatives of the authorities, representatives of the economic sector, representatives of the civil sector, civilians, and we're working based on participatorial principle. In our populated area, we have 328 children from 0 to 18. We also add IDP children to this number. We established a space that is a big room with corridors, and we will have a chance to take mixed formats for 2 stages. So first the primary grades, and then middle school and higher grades in the second shift. We know that war will end sooner or later. So we want to build our KPIs properly so that we could understand where we have strengths and weaknesses in our community, and then we will adjust to reality. So we will try to put this all into life. And this is where the bombs hit. You know, it puts the buckets underneath so that I didn't get flooded. The rains are falling, and you know, my hands are freezing and I cannot cook food anymore. There are lots of elderly people who find it hard to take care of themselves, who find it hard to go shopping, to cook meals, and the problem with water is still there. So we aim to cook food at least once a day, to cook dinners for the people. We're trying to cook out of the things that are available. We have broth as first course, and then we will have baked potatoes, fried pies with apples, and potatoes with meat. In the future, we plan to cook more, 60 people and more. What I like about this topic of social kitchen is that this helps the people who still don't have gas supply. And lights, electricity supply may not be available. People 70 plus, and there are also disabled people who may have less age, but they may also find it hard to cook themselves, and we can help them there. We had incoming fire, not once and not even 10 times. All the windows were out, the roof was hit, metal doors were hit, and the Russian army was standing 5 kilometers away from here. The village suffered a lot, not just this village, but also other villages. We hope for reconstruction of the village, and we're working this on to make sure this village um, rebuilds, because there are more than 200 children now living in this village. We are near Shevchenkivsky Lyceum. This is the biggest educational establishment in our community. This is a symbolic place for the people in this village, because many residents of Shevchenkov were studying in this lyceum, and many people from other villages will also study here. Everybody was asking, what needs to be done? What do we need to do to go back home? And I was telling them, if you want to go back home, we have to work. There's no other way out of it. We see our needs from the inside better than anyone else. Only the armed forces can bring back peace to communities like ours. And those who are staying have to work together to rebuild and to help further. I would very much like to hear the round of applause, not only for the things that are ongoing, but also things that will continue, and those who are fighting in the front lines, thanks to whom we can travel to communities, plan our life at least for some short term, and cooperate and think about the future. Let us thank them. We definitely have a lot of things to do together. We have seen our connecting points. We have seen our zones of cooperation. At the end of this event, we will share the materials presented here. We're staying in touch. We will keep communicating everything that is happening in Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. Going forward, we will try to expand the interaction with other communities. We will try to strengthen the humanitarian response, and this is where we started today. I would like to ask the colleagues to bring back the slide for those who still did not think about things to do next, about registering at humanitarian response platform. Please join. When we have the first registrations, we will definitely meet with you again to discuss what is already working and what functions are missing for you as providers or requesting parties for humanitarian aid, and we will move forward to improve this mechanism. We would like to thank you for finding the time in your busy schedule to come here on a Saturday morning to talk to your colleagues, to take some new things, Let's continue talking informally over coffee. Thank you, and until next time.